G'day and welcome to another episode of Kiwi Car Life. And for the longest time, pretty much every single hot hatch or compact sedan with a little bit of performance came with a 4-cylinder engine. The Golf GTI is the first one that springs to mind, along with almost every single performance Honda ever made, all the Audis, all the Skodas, all the Toyotas even. Pretty much all of their fairly small cars came with 4-cylinder engines. And there's a good reason for that. They're compact, they're reasonably cheap to make, keeps the price down, they get good fuel economy, and if you slap a turbo on it, they can make a pretty decent amount of power. But every now and then, manufacturers deviated from the norm, and we ended up with things like the Golf R32 with a 3.2 litre VR6 under the bonnet of a tiny little VW Golf. But back in the day, Ford experimented with putting an unusually large engine in a fairly compact car, the Focus XR5, and this lesser known Mondeo XR5 was its slightly larger cousin, shall we say. The Mondeo XR5 naturally has a 5-cylinder engine. It's a Volvo-derived 2.5 litre turbocharged inline 5. It makes 162 kilowatt, or right on 220 horsepower, and 280 Newton meters of torque. It's sending its power to the front wheels via a 6-speed manual transmission. My car, on the other hand, has a 3-litre inline 6, makes 195 kilowatt or 265 horsepower, so a decent amount more than this, but the torque's only a hair more at 315 Newton meters. It's also paired up with a 6-speed manual transmission, but power is going to the rear wheels instead. The interior of the Mondeo has actually really surprised me. Things like the light switches feel quite premium. The indicator switches feel nice, they have a nice little click to them. It even has like fully digital gauges in here, which deeply surprised me. I mean, I jumped in this and I went, what's this, like a 2015? But no, it's a 2008. And it's well equipped too. It's got auto lights, auto wipers, heated seats down here. It even has keyless entry and push button start. The steering wheel's got cruise control and buttons to control the screen in the middle here and the radio. The radio center stack here is probably the one bit that does kind of date the interior a little bit. My car, with everything just sort of being all black with silver accented trim rather than everything being silver, in my mind just looks a little bit more modern. The transmission feels okay. It does have reasonably long throws, but it's easy enough to find all the gears, bearing in mind this car's done 222,000 Ks. And the seats are actually quite comfortable. They're manual, so they don't have electric adjustment like my car, but I've been able to find a decent driving position and it actually feels really quite good. The advantages of my car, obviously it has the leather, the build quality is definitely a little bit better, and everything is just like plain black, it's uncontroversial, whereas with this, parts of it look a little bit dated, but then parts of it, like the gauges, still look really good, which is quite fascinating. But now it's time to see how the mighty Mondeo XR5 drives. Let's hear some 5-cylinder noises. It's got great torque in the mid-range, but the power just dies after like 5,000 RPM, and it's just quite noticeable. And it feels like a big car, eh? It's kind of surprising actually. But it makes some good turbo noises, listen to that. And when you get it out on the road like this, it's actually really quite a comfortable car. The ride's good, there's a few rattles from the interior. It is a brilliant long distance cruising car, I can tell straight away. The only thing is, something I do really like about my car is that it just makes a bit of noise. It has a nice whoop 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 from the exhaust. Whereas this, your third gear foot down, you just can't really hear anything. The only spots for improvement, a slightly more revvy engine. You can tell it's got a very heavy flywheel and it just takes a lot of effort to get it to rev up. It actually handles really quite well for a big car. It's like kind of weird how planted it feels. Through some of these sort of longer sweeping corners, it's actually got quite quick steering. It turns in really well. It has actually really surprised me, and it's not a half bad car to drive at all. Great mid-range, good handling, good steering. It responds nicely out of corners. There's not much turbo lag. Even though there's no LSD, it does kind of pull you through these corners, really quite nicely. It's a good car to drive. I'm actually extremely impressed driving the 130i. The main advantage of this is that it's a BMW, and there are a few things that BMW does very well in every single car. The first is the steering. It's quite a quick steering ratio and it feels fantastic. It's one of the very last of the hydraulic ones. And then, you know, the transmission likewise. Again, it's just a tight gearbox. And for going up and down gears, it's just a quick and snappy process. Whereas the Mondeo was one of those more sort of smooth manuals where, you know, you can hammer through the gears, but it tends to kind of buck into the next gear and so on. It doesn't just go through the gears quite like that. Now that said, I was impressed with the level of features the Mondeo had, and really comfortable seats, lots of room in the back. Like the Mondeo is the better daily driver. You know, the torque from the turbo engine, the smoothness, it's easier to drive smoothly. So yeah, it was certainly cool to get to check it out, but this 130 is a pretty flippin' awesome car to drive, eh? So there we go, thanks very much for watching. It was certainly really interesting to take a look at that Mondeo and see what Ford was offering back in the day. And if you're looking for something that will just kind of do everything with a very odd engine, then it's actually really quite a good car, to be honest. I prefer something that's a little bit more sharp, which is why I'm sticking with this. I'm going to carry on home to Wellington now from my Auckland trip, and I will look forward to seeing you again next time.